we have a problem in the sport that this is constantly being done, and then it's obvious and it turns people off. Our Big Tens are falling off. What are we doing? We have lightweight division that's just ready to explode, and nobody's making it happen.
Welcome, everyone, to Boxing Scene's Top Stories, only on ProBox TV, your boxing channel. I am George DeMattelis. Don't forget to download the ProBox TV app, where apps are available. 3 reasons to download the ProBox TV app are because of our world champions. We have Chris Algieri, Paulie Malignaggi, and ESPN analyst Tim Bradley joining us here on Top Stories. All right, let's look back on this past Saturday's results. O'Shaquie Foster getting a measure of revenge as he regained his WBC super featherweight title with a split decision victory over Robson Conceição. And then lightweight contender Raymond Muratalla destroyed Jesus Perez with a second-round stoppage to improve to 22-0, 17 wins by way of knockout. All right, Tim, let's talk about O'Shaquie Foster first. What did you make of his showing? This is kind of a 2-part question here. What did you think of his showing, and does it set up for him for a unification fight against the winner of Navarrete and Valdez?
Well, obviously, yeah. I mean, both of those guys are top rank. It makes sense. I'm sure he's going to be sitting ringside. However, what I took from the fight is that, damn, Shakur Stevenson is a bad boy. That's what I took from the fight, to be honest with you, man, because Shakur cooked Conceição. He cooked Valdez, Shakur's been MIA since, he suffered his hand injury. He was scheduled to face Cordina. That fight's obviously not happening. However, it just shows that there's levels to this game, man. Foster, I think he's a tremendous fighter. He has a ton of ability, but he needs to put it all together. This fight was close. It was close. You look at the scorecards, and I said afterwards that, O'Shaquie came on strong on the back end of the fight, but he lost a couple of those last rounds on the scorecards, which is interesting to me. Man, 21 rounds was what I think was scored equally between the judges. The rest of the rounds were all over the place by the judges. I would say the right man got the win, but, they got to do better, man. They got to do better. They really do. It was a nip and tuck fight in spots. O'Shaquie did a little bit more when he had to. He hurt Conceição. Conceição faded, and that was the reason why I think he got the decision. But, man, it wasn't a whole lot of separation, people. It didn't look like the way Shakur Stevenson did it. It didn't look like the way Shakur Stevenson would do it against any of these guys. So O'Shaquie needs some work, man. I even told him after the fight, come on, man, you got to come harder than this. This fight was too close. You're too skilled. You have so much ability, but you have to put it all together, period.
Yeah, Paulie, what do you make of O'Shaquie Foster, his performance against Conceição, and how he might stack up against the winner of Navarrete Valdez?
Yeah, I agree with the champ, Tim. I do think the right guy got the decision, but I thought this fight was closer than the first one, to tell you the truth. The first one, I don't know what the judges watched. I thought this one was closer. I do think O'Shaquie pulled it out, and especially even if it was closer, I had him slightly edging it. I think he deserved the decision much more because I felt like he won the first fight and didn't get it. So I do think that the right thing happened, especially considering the way the first one went. But Conceição is a tough guy to look good against. I echo the sentiments of the champ Tim because really, you see when you're watching this fight, you can see a more motivated Conceição. He's trying to get off first, but he's older, and that's why he fades a little bit late. I think the difference in this fight was age, probably. Conceição faded a little bit at the end, and O'Shaquie was able to sort of turn it up a little bit more at the end. But you can see Conceição, O'Shaquie sort of let him dictate too much of that fight, where Conceição gets off first. And when you have an awkward guy, you cannot really let him dictate the pace and let him get off first because he's doing all kinds of things that are going to throw you off. O'Shaquie wants to fancy himself as a bit of a counterpuncher in spots because he's athletic. But you can't really be the counterpuncher against an awkward guy because you know what the problem with an awkward guy is? He don't even know what he's going to do next. So how are you going to know when he's going to do next? Timing is based on a guy not being awkward and a guy getting a guy's timing. An awkward guy, what makes a guy awkward? He just decides on the fly what he's going to do half the time. You know what I mean? So you can't really anticipate anything. So O'Shaquie was in big spots to get to this counterpuncher mode, this athletic mode with his shoulder roll and gets all. But then all of a sudden he's slipping punches. And Tim, you brought this out that he did too much of this in the first fight, where he kind of steps back and doesn't make him pay. Steps back and doesn't make him pay. And all of a sudden you're realizing if you're not making him pay, a lot of times what happens, the guy who's missing has nothing to lose. And I say, well, all I'm doing is missing. I ain't paying, so I might as well just keep throwing. And it keeps you from setting up your offense. Now, don't get me wrong. Shaki woke up in enough spots to where I felt like he deserved the decision. But you see the holes in his attack here. And again, it does show you, to once again echo the champ Tim Bradley's sentiments, how bad of a guy Shakur Stevenson is. I mean, Shakur Stevenson dominating this guy. But what, again, how do you got to take the play away from a guy like Concepcion. If you let him dictate, bro, you're going to be in an ugly, stupid fight that you could have avoided. And sometimes being first is just being simple, man. Simple with that jab. Simple with the rhythm of your lead hand. You know what I mean? Because, yeah, there's times that Concepcion's coming over the top of it with a right hand, that choppy right hand, that weird right hand that he throws, that he steps in, and it looks like his feet are going 2 different directions, and he throws his big right hand out of nowhere. And a lot of times he times you well on the jab. So you do have to rhythm up your jab a little bit so that he doesn't get the timing off it. Oshaki, what would happen? Concepcion would throw that right hand, and then Oshaki would think twice about jabbing. Nah, bro, that's just your cue to change the rhythm on the jab. You don't stop throwing the jab. You don't stop dictating with that jab. You know, too many empty spots for me with Oshaki. It leaves too much to desire. Oshaki got his name being the cardiac kid, where he gets these late surges. I think he sort of won with a bit of a late surge here as well. It wasn't the late stoppage type of late surge, but it was the have more energy than the old man type surge. He's going to need a little bit more if he's going to last in his division.
Yeah, Chris, what's your take on Oshaki Foster's performance and how it could set up a matchup against either the winner of Navarrete Valdez?
Guys, my partners here, fantastic points, both of you, Tim, Paulie. I tip my hat to you guys. You did a great job. Going third always sucks with you guys because you say such good things. But so I'm gonna talk about some other aspects to it. So 2 things happened in this fight. One, the right guy won. I do believe Oshaki did enough to get the victory. It was a very, very close fight. I think if these guys fought 100 times, it'd be 100 close fights. It's just the way that these guys are. And I think 2, it was a much better fight. It was more entertaining. Both guys made adjustments. Both guys brought a different game plan. I was very impressed with Robson Concepcion at 36 years old to go out there and push a pace early on. He was very aggressive. He was much better at controlling the distance this fight than he was last fight. He forced the action a lot more. I was looking at the numbers. I believe he was a lot more accurate in this fight. Threw less punches, but was more accurate. But yeah, I mean, guys, age matters. 36 years old is 36 years old, especially 130 pounds. You know, there was a stretch in the middle rounds where you could see him starting to fade. He gets hurt, and then he just dug deep because he's a rough character, and he started pushing the action again. Was able to pin Oshaki on the ropes a lot of times because of what you were saying, Paulie. That he doesn't have that consistent jab to keep a guy at bay. Shakur was able to dominate Concepcion because you mentioned the fundamentals. The fundamentals work from the beginning to the end. He uses the jab. He controls distance. Keeps you out of that range where being awkward, being long, being aggressive, being unpredictable can be controlled. When you can control distance, it doesn't matter if the guy's unpredictable. You have so much time to figure out what he's doing, see what he's doing, see it coming from so far away, and he's able to just definitely step away and counter. And that's something that Oshaki is severely lacking. He does not have a consistent jab. He makes you miss, doesn't make you pay for it, and allows a guy like Concepcion to just keep ripping and roaring. I like Oshaki Foster. I think he's fun to watch. He's always in close fights because he just does just enough. And that style is not going to match up well with either Valdez or Navarrete, especially Navarrete, because he's all over you. It makes sense that would be the next fight, but I wouldn't favor him in either.
All right, let's talk about Raymond Muratalla, their second round knockout of Jesus Perez. Tim, what impressed you the most about Muratalla, and then where does he stand at 135 after this performance?
That after 8 years, he's still hungry. A lot of times, you know, guys, and I'm going to use the term that Chris always says, is they go stale. You know, they start to lose it up here mentally. You know, you get told that over and over, the next one's going to be the title fight. The next one's going to be the title fight. This guy's been waiting 8 years, and he showed, and he used that energy, right? That negative energy that he's been thinking about, like, I should be having a title fight already. I should have had it long ago, but I haven't. And he used it, and you can see it. You know, you can see it in his performance. You can see it as he's walking out. You know, his face, his eyes, his focus. You know, and he gets in the ring, and he just, I mean, the speed, the accuracy, the quickness, the way he just broke down this guy quickly, and he landed that right hand, man. It just shows, man, that he is a bad boy, no matter what anybody says. I mean, his last couple of fights that he had before this one, they were somewhat lackluster. I'm not going to lie. You know, the Tevin Farmer fight was extremely a difficult fight for him. You know, I still feel that he has trouble with those styles, those movers, where he has to pick up his slow feet and he has to cut them off and cut off the ring. However, this was the perfect style for him to look impressive. This is a guy that's never been knocked out before, and he flattened them, who has fought some really good quality opponents, including world champion right now in Norman. So, and who's a welterweight. So I would say great performance. Way to stay hungry. Your shot will come, Muratalla. Couple more fights, maybe even your next fight. You will be fighting for a world championship, but keep your head on right, stay focused, stay in the gym, and your time is coming.
I think Muratalla could probably fight a guy like Berenchuk right now. Honestly, I see, and there's a top-rank connection there too, isn't there, right, Tim? I mean,
Yep, you're
you can make that fight right now, and I would probably favor Muratalla in that fight. With the amount of talent in the lightweight division, there's no excuses for these guys not to fight each other. You got champions in the lightweight division, and who are they defending? They're not defending against guys that are even as good as your Keyshawn Davises, your Raymond Muratallas, your William Zepedas. What kind of sport is this?
Yeah.
We got a lightweight division with great champions. We got a lightweight division with great contenders. They're not fighting. They keep getting put in these showcase fights. We have a problem in the sport that this is constantly being done, and then it's obvious and it turns people off. Our heads are falling off. What are we doing? We have lightweight division that's just ready to explode, and nobody's making it happen. Please, let's make this happen. That's it. That's my rant.
Chris, we'll close it out with you there. What you take on Muratalla and where he stands at 135?
I've been watching this kid for a while. I think he's fantastic. And Tim, to your point, like, not only did he not get stale, he's still working on things. And that shows the hunger's there. That shows that, I mean, he's a serious guy. You can see it. He's a serious kid. He's at a serious gym with Robert Garcia out there on the West Coast. And he brings it. The guy he fought was no joke. That guy's gone the distance with world champions at 147. The guy's, has never been stopped. Muratalla ices him in 2 rounds, puts him down 3 times. I mean, he looked phenomenal. He's very dynamic. He's very fit. He's very big for the weight class. He's got great fundamentals, which, as I said earlier, work from the beginning until all the way to the end, to the top. So I really like what I'm seeing with him. I was worried he was getting a little stale because of his past two outings, but, I mean, he looked phenomenal. Like, get that kid in a title fight. He's ready.
Yeah, Raymond Muratalla, by the way, he is ranked in the top 5 in 3 of the 4 governing bodies. Only the WBA, I almost said WNBA, that would be wrong. WBA does not have him ranked in the top 15. We will continue to track the progress of Raymond Muratalla and possible title shot at 135 here on Top Stories. We'd like to remind you to scan the QR code, like and subscribe, and leave your comments on our YouTube channel. Download the ProBox TV app where apps are available as we continue the best live fight series in all of boxing. November 9th, it should be a great one from Kissimmee, Florida, with Flaus going up again to being part of the main event here on ProBox TV. Should be a great night of fights. November 9th, definitely don't want to miss it on the app and on YouTube as well. I am George DeMatteis, and this is Boxing Scene's Top Stories.
ProBox TV Contender Series. Nicholas Flaus steps into the ring against Christian Gomez. And don't miss former world champion Jojo Diaz as he returns to the ring in search of glory.
For more ProBox TV, scan the QR code on the screen or go to the App Store and Google Play. ProBox TV, your boxing channel.